Welcome back to Viking MTG. A new series I'm starting called Tech Tuesdays, and I'll be doing deck techs every Tuesday. This week we're going to start with Golgari Aggro. This is going to be fully post rotation. Nothing in here from our devastation back. This is completely post rotation. So be prepared to use that. It's an outstanding deck. I believe this will be close to, if not the competitive deck in Standard. I built it, and I do have a version I've been playing that's just the 4 current sets. But after rotation, you'll see what I'm adding in. This is not I'll do budget decks later. This is not a budget deck by any means. This is a big one. So let's get started. Green black elves. So elf aggro. First card. I don't think we really have a choice. Llanowar elves. Everybody knows Llanowar elves. 1/1. Tap them to add green to your mana pool. I think we have to play 4 of them. We need the ramp, and you'll see why. It's an outstanding card. You have to play, if you're playing green, especially green aggro, really any green, unless you're just splashing it. But if you're playing green, you need Llanowar elves. You're foolish not to use it. Second card I'm going to play is Marwyn the Nurturer. I might get questioned on this one, but you'll see why I'm playing Marwyn. She's outstanding, and she gets out of control fast if you have enough elves to back her up. Next card is Reclamation Sage. I'm playing a 2-drop of Reclamation Sage. I really like her. I really like Reclamation Sage. It can take out enchantments and artifacts, and it triggers Marwyn. It's just an easy trigger for Marwyn. You get enchantment destruction and enchantment or artifact destruction, and you trigger Marwyn and give her +1/+1. That's outstanding. And plus, you can sack her later. I've got things in this deck where you can sack her to do good stuff. So our third elf we're going to be playing is Steel Leaf Champion. Steel Leaf Champion is just outstanding. He's an elf. Nothing wrong with him at all. He kicks butt. It's just that simple. He's outstanding. And I'll show you how we'll sacrifice these 1/1s, 1/1 tokens, and Reclamation Sage after he's gotten the job done. I'll show you how we sacrifice those to essentially create ramp. Thorn Lieutenant is outstanding. Have to play Thorn Lieutenant. And a lot of this deck is set up to hurt them for removing our elves. If they want to remove our elves, they're going to get hurt doing it. Our next elf we're playing, and I'm not sure how people are going to react to this. I think it's a huge card. It's Underrealm Lich. I think Underrealm Lich is a boss. Underrealm Lich is going to be serious in Standard. Sorry, I haven't read his art a lot. I'm pulling it up. I think he's going to be real serious. So he's essentially the replacement for Scarab God in Standard, but he has he fits Golgari, which is great, and he's an elf. So if I have the pieces out, if he triggers Marwyn, if Marwyn's still on the board, Elvish Clan Caller gives him +1/+1, which makes him Lightning Strike proof. Most likely, I'm going to make him Lightning Strike proof. And his ability is great. If you draw a card, instead look at the top 3 cards of your library, then put 1 into your hand, the rest in your graveyard. The majority of the time in this deck, you're going to find something that you want to use late game to end the game. You'll see why. Pay 4 life, and he gains indestructible until end of turn. And we've got ways to counteract that 4 life to where it's not that big a deal. And he's outstanding. You can just keep him alive. Unless they exile him, of course. And there's plenty of exile in this format. You're up against white-blue. It's going to be tough. It was tough with Scarab God against white-blue. The Exelon's Binding, he's gone, unless you've got enchantment removal. So, alright, next card. I think he's going to be a big deal. Next card I'm playing, Elvish Clan Color. You have to do 4 of. He's cheap, triggers Marwyn, and gives everything +1/+1. And you can use her to bring other ones in late game. And that just continues to pump Marwyn. It'll make your under reach lich that much bigger. It just makes everything bigger. They're cheap, plus they're 2 green mana. It's nothing. Late game, if you've got counters on Marwyn, you can tap her for her power. So you can tap her and play a couple Underrealm Liches. They're not legendary, which means you can have, unlike Scarab God, you can have 2, 3 of them out at once. You can have 4 out at once. Imagine that scariness. So that's where we're going as far as that's almost the last of our creatures. Our last creature I'm going for is Doom Whisperer. He's a monster. I think if you're playing black in this format, you have to consider Doom Whisperer. He's a beast. I mean, just doesn't take that much talking about. He's a 6/6 with flying and trample, and you can pay 2 life and surveil 2 at any time, which is outstanding. He's $17, and he's probably not going to get much cheaper than that. He's probably going to be about Carnage Tyrant price for his whole existence. 6/6 for 5 with flying and trample, and we've got ways to ramp in this deck to get him out on turn 4. So he's outstanding, and him combined with the other pieces that we have, he's massive. So that's the creature base. It's a deadly creature base, and it works fast. We got little pieces that ramp up into big, huge, nasty things, and it will be very difficult to counter this deck. You only got so many counter spells. Eventually, I'm going to get creatures off. So we've got several ways to ramp. First, I wanted a card that would have draw ability. So I went with 2 Shaper Sanctuaries. Shaper Sanctuary punishes your opponent for removing your creatures. Even if they seal away or Exelon's Binding one of your creatures, you draw a card for that. It doesn't matter. If they do anything that affects or targets your creatures. I believe, yeah, when a creature you control becomes the target of a spell or ability. So, a Settle the Wreckage isn't going to do it, or even a Cleansing Nova, but anything that makes them the target, Exelon's Binding, Seal Away, all that, those all, other removal, other black removal, red removal, it will all trigger that, and you just get to draw a card. And that's awesome. You killed my Thorn Lieutenant, but I got an elf and I got to draw a card. It's outstanding. So that's, I think you have to in this standard if you're playing green. With most of the pieces we've lost in green, that's a great way to fill it in. It's a great way to draw cards. It's a great value engine, especially for 1 mana. Try and get it out on turn 2. If you don't have a Steel Leaf champion, or you don't have your Llanowar Elf to ramp in a Steel Leaf champion, put Shaper Sanctuary out and get some cards early when they play their early removal. So next card, and I know it's expensive, Assassin's Trophy. Assassin's Trophy, right now I'm playing a 3-drop. I don't want 4 because I'm most likely not going to play this card early. I want this card to act first off as removal, late game removal. I don't want to remove a card, remove anything with this card that will give my opponent ramp, that will give my opponent an extra land early. I don't care on turn 5 when they put their Galta out, or have something else big and nasty, or have a Search for Skana that's about to flip, and I can blow it away, and they get a land. I don't care. We're already past the point where I care about them getting an extra land. But if I don't have any targets to use it on, I'm playing against control, and they don't have any enchantments on the board or anything I'm desperately worried about, I can use that and cast it on one of my elves, one of my little chumps, and bam, I've got an extra land. I can ramp up with that. We can use it to ramp up if there's, if I don't have any other plays, if I'm, not drawing lands, I can give myself free lands by killing a 1/1. And I'll pay 2 and sacrifice a 1/1 or a 2/2 to get that land that I need to ramp into the Doom Whisperer or Underrealm Lich. I think it's required. It's an outstanding card. There's no doubt about this card. But it is $25 before release. I think it'll settle around 15. It'll probably be around Vraska's Contempt price once it's all over. I'm hoping I hit a couple in my boxes on pre-release. I'm really hoping, but we'll see. I'd have to go out and buy them. So, where else are we? So we have 3 Vraska's Contempts. I think we have to have those in there. We just need removal. We need a lot of removal. And this standard, there's going to be a lot of creatures. You're going to have your Teferi decks, which they're huge against Teferi. You have to have Vraska's Contempt against Teferi. Once they tap out to cast him on turn 5 or 6, you can Vraska's Contempt him off the board, and you gain 2 life. That ruins their day. It definitely puts a hamper on them. You never want to try and smoke their Teferi when they've got counterspell ready to go. But if a lot of times guys will tap out to cast a Teferi on turn 5 because they don't want to be stuck. And that Teferi's their deck. That's how they play. So, being able to Vraska's Contempt them off the board is huge. An Assassin Strobe will kill it too. Don't forget, Assassin Strobe will take out a Planeswalker. It'll take out anything. As far as the rest of what I've got, I suppose that's it for the base deck. I went with 9 Force. I went with 4 Swamps, 2 Unclaimed Territories, because the majority of what we have is elves. And Unclaimed Territories early, claiming elves. Then we can use colorless mana to cast whatever we want after. It's not the end of the world. And if it's late and we get it, and we want to cast, we're holding the Doom Whisper, we can just declare Demon. It's not the end of the world. Nightmare Demon. And yeah, we can only use it for colorless or to cast Doom Whisper, but it's not the end of the world. And if we declare elves, we can use it to cast Underrealm Lich. It's a great part. He's a zombie elf shaman, so the elf plays in our deck great. He's great for this deck. And I know he's not Scarab God, but he's kind of a value Scarab God, and in this format, he might end up being boss. We'll see. I don't sit there and listen to the pros snobbing it out. I don't care. I missed one. I went with Vraska, Gorgon Queen. We'll see how she plays. If I don't like how she plays, and she isn't quite as dominant, or the format isn't quite playing to her strengths, then I might switch to Vraska Relic Seeker again. But I'd definitely like to get used to her because she's going to be in the format longer than Vraska Relic Seeker. And she's got some great abilities. In case you're not familiar with her abilities, because it is early, she's got +2. You may sacrifice another permanent. If you do, you gain 1 life and draw a card. Her -3 is destroy target non-land permanent with converted mana cost 3 or less, which I think that's not very good. To -3 and destroy something with converted mana cost 3 or less, I don't like that. Seems like a waste. I want to pump her to her -9. I would just do the +2 until she hit 9. And then you get an emblem with whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, that player wins the game. Or loses the game, sorry. That player loses the game. So, it's deadly. It's a deadly card. If you ultimate it, they're done. So, it's an awesome card. It's a pretty good Planeswalker. Is it as good as Vraska Relic Seeker? I don't know. I really like Relic Seeker though. So let's get to my sideboard. I also, of course, went with 4 woodland cemeteries and 4 overgrown tombs. Um, have to. Those are the only duels other than the junk tap duel, which we don't want in here. It slows the deck down too much. So let's get to our hot sideboard action. So we have 4 dresses. This deck, it's a ton of aggro, but our sideboard is meant to make a lot of our deck actually is meant to make control's life hell. So we got 4 dresses, 3 divests. We lost Doomfall, so I think divest is a great alternative for Doomfall. It allows us to throw away artifacts as well as creatures, which is huge. You're going to see a lot of Psi, Karn type artifact decks. I've already seen them, people playing post rotation decks on MTGO with that, and you're going to see it in the format, I guarantee it. Play two cast downs. I want to have those. I scrubbed them from the main deck, but if I know I'm playing a heavy creature deck, I will throw those in. I'll pull something out, like Reclamation Sage or something, and I'll throw the cast downs in. I put 1 extra Vraska's Contempt. If I know I'm playing Planeswalker heavy deck, kind of a Super Friends type deck or something, there's going to be a lot of Lyras on the board. Anything like that, I'll sub in that other Vraska's Contempt. I put 2 Vraska Relic Seekers in the sideboard. I want her out there for removing enchantments and artifacts. And if there's something flying, I'm going to remove whatever. I can sub her in if I just feel like the other Vraska isn't getting the job done. I have 2 Carnage Tyrants against control. He's expensive, but he's awesome for what he costs, and standard, he's brutal. And then 1 Vivian Reed. I like Vivian. She's a solid card. Being able to skim your deck and pull creatures, while at the same time having that ability to kill a Lyra, or take out a Search for Escanta, or take out an Exelon's Binding and get your stuff back. She's great. So that's the deck, and I think it's outstanding. I think this deck will be extremely dominant. There will be many versions of it, of course. There will be twists and versions of it, but I think the cards in here and everything in here is going to be the standard, beast. They're going to be brutal cards. Underrealm Lich is projected right now to be $5, but there's no way that holds. With the ability of that card, what that card is, there's no way it holds at that price. I think it's going to be at least $10, if not $15, eventually. So it's a mythic. It's got a killer ability, being able to make it indestructible for only 4 life. That's not that big a trade-off. The deck like this, where you're going to be killing people on turn 5, 6, that's at the latest. You want to be killing people in this deck on turn 5 or 6 at the latest. If you're not killing them with your Steel Leaf and Marwyn early, this deck gets going really fast. So keep that in mind. I have a version on MTGO right now without the Guilds of Ravnica cards, and I will do a video. Either I'll do it tonight after I finish this and edit it, or I will do it tomorrow, playing the version without the Ravnica cards. I subbed some cards in, like instead of the Underrealm Lich, I did Tetzimok Primal Death, and instead of the Doom Whispers, I threw in Demon Catastrophes, because he's kind of the same thing, except you have to sack a creature, and I got so many chumps, it's not a problem sacking a creature with this deck. Not at all. It's great. So sideboards, I put 2 more Tetzimoks on the sideboard, and put of course I main decked Vraska Relic Seeker. I played it online. It's Murderville. It's great, and people don't expect it right now. People are quite stunned to see some of the cards I've gotten here. One guy is like, "Oh, it's a weird deck," and then I beat him, and he was playing Rakdos. So best card in the format, and I crushed him in 2 turns. So, not 2 turns, but 2 hands. He didn't win one. So that's it. I hope everybody enjoyed this Tech Tuesday, and this is my first Deck Tech on camera. So I hope I did all right. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and stay tuned for more. Like, comment, subscribe. It means a lot. When you like and comment, my videos get seen by more people. Check out my Patreon. I do my grab bags. I'll open anything for you. You know, you sign up to Patreon, sign up for one of the packages. I open a bundle for you. I'll open a bug booster box for you. I send you the rares and the uncommons. If you're here local, if you're one of them, somebody that I play here at LGS with, I mean, I'm just going to give you all the cards back. But if you do, it would cost me a lot more to send if I'm shipping your cards back to you, you know, across the country. If I'm buying a box for you, you're paying, you know, paying me the amount. I buy the box with that money, and then I have to ship a whole box full of cards to you. It's going to cost a lot more than just sending the uncommons that you want, rares, mythics, and foils. That's how most Patreon guys do it. So my grab bags, of course, will always be good. I take what I open on the channel and put it back into the channel. That's my goal here, is to let the channel fuel itself, so it doesn't become a tax on me. So it's already enough time. The YouTube channel eats up a lot of time, surprisingly, and I'm small time. So I hope everybody enjoyed this. Stay tuned. I'll have some more fun tomorrow. I'll talk to you later. Peace.